So let's get these straps sorted out. So I just did, as you know, one side strap. We've got too much for this size, so I'm just going to trim it down. And what I want to do is, this is where my buttonhole is going to be. I've measured it on my child, put it onto her. I laid it on, did up the tie on the back like so, okay, and then this strap here, which is the strap on the child's right when she stood up, is going to go under this side here, okay, and it will slot in there. So that is the side where I'm going to put my button, and there's going to be a buttonhole here on this side, okay, so that will go underneath and fit into there like that. So you've got a cross across the back. That one will come across and it will go in there, and it will fit in there underneath that, and that's where it is, okay, like so. So the reason I did it, it was just because it was just so much easier to do all of the ruffles the same and then cut once we'd got to them and finish them off all together at the end. So that's why I've done it like this, because otherwise it just got really complicated, all the different sizes and everything. So there's plenty enough there, as you can see, to do your 8-year-old. The reason we're crossing it on the back is to make sure that you've got enough so that it doesn't fall off the shoulders. If you have it so it's just coming down and it's just going on that side, as they're running around, this is really floppy on the shoulders. So that's why I've done it like that. So I'm just going to turn it back around. So if you've got your child to measure up against, you should be able to do that. If not, and what you can do is just measure from the waistband around the shoulder and bring it around so it's coming over onto the other shoulder, so it comes up the shoulder, but then on the back it crosses down and goes to the other side. Measure that, and then measure that with a child if you've sent the tape measure method, because we said that it'd be a really good idea to send a tape measure to the child you're making it for from Amazon or something, and then you can just get the measurements off them. Okay, so here we are. So here we are with my pin, and this is where we're going to cut. So my buttonhole is going to go exactly there, so I want a little bit more fabric just coming down, and I'm not going to cut straight across, I'm going to come up at an angle like that. Okay, so hopefully, let me move it right over so that I'm in the middle a bit more. So I'm coming up and I'm giving myself about an inch, okay, and I'm just going to come up, cut like that, okay, and then lay that piece out and then cut that up at an angle. Right, and then we're going to fold the whole of this back underneath, and we're going to stitch it down. So we're going to fold it over once like that, and then we're going to fold it over again like that, and then we're going to stitch the whole of that down. So I'm going to neaten off this end piece here. So I'm going to take it and go like that. Okay, so you're folding it under once and you're folding it under twice. Now, if you don't want all this bulk here, what you can do is hold onto it here and pull that out flat. Okay, so you should be able to pull those stitches out. There we are. Okay, fold it under one time like that, and fold it under again. Now, you don't have to have all that fabric. It is quite a lumpy bit of fabric there. All right, what you can do is come in and trim that piece there. Okay, and now you should get a nice lay on your piece of fabric there. All right, make sure that little bit's tucks in under. So I'm going to put a couple of pins in there. There, couldn't find them for a minute, so stick one pin in there. Right, I'm just going to fold that piece there under because I don't like that bit, that's the raw edge. Fold it in under there, one, and we're going to fold the other one in under here too. Right, and I'm just going to come in before I do that actually and fold that little end up there first. So I've just took it, look, and I'm just folding it up a little bit like that, just a tiny bit, and then fold that under like that, so that's sitting on top of it. Get that one straight, there you go. Okay, and I'll put the pin in that one. And we're just going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're just going to stitch really just a straight row of stitches just there. Back stitch, straight row, back stitch. Okay, do exactly the same on the other side. So before, keep that piece because you might need it for your dolly's clothes. Alright, so just put that to one side for doll's clothes, and I lost my bin a minute. Let's find that in a second. Right, okay, so we want to cut this one at the same size. So we're going to put that one together. We know it's there. So I'm coming in here, I'm coming down about an inch. And I'm just going to cut straight across. Alright, take that one out of the way for doll's clothes. There we go, alright. So I'm going to just pull a bit of that out, and it should come out easily enough. I'll just straighten this piece up. There. Okay. I had to move around again because I just could not get that light right for the, every time I tried to do the sewing, the sun was coming in. So I think what I'm going to do is invest in another boom and try and get the boom on the sewing machine, because I think it worked better, although it was a bit blurry. I'm going to have to pull it back further, but that's okay now I've done it. That's all we can do is trial and error, isn't it? So I'm going to put up a pin in this one. I want it to be roughly, I'll put it back a bit further actually, that's more like it. There we go, that's more like that, is it? Yep. Tuck that piece right under. I want that raw edge showing, so I'm just going to tuck that under and then fold it back, that's it. So I've had another clear out. And a good tidy up of the room. It's looking better. It's just that it's a very difficult room because the sun, and you really want the lovely light coming in that, but when I do get the sun coming in, all I get is a big shadow right across the where I'm doing my sewing, and that's sort of no good for filming. So like, it's like, oh, I'm fighting a losing battle. So I've moved it again, and hopefully this time, because I'm just fed up with having to move it. I've moved it so many different places in the room to try and get that light right. I just can't seem to get it right. So that's that and that. And we're going to just go down there, back stitch there, and a back stitch there. And then we're going to come here, and I'm just going to stitch a button on each side on these two, where those two pins are. And I've got my buttons. So when I bought my buttons, I have these lovely, they're like the bell buttons almost, they look like the rose from Belle. Let's see if you can actually see, it's got a tiny rose on it, like that, and it's all yellow, but they only had 5. So I thought, oh well, maybe I can put something different on the skirt, and then I found these ones which are really cute. I don't know if you can see, if I move it around a bit. They've got like a daisy on it, so I'm going to put those on, that one on there, and that one on there. You can either sew them on with your sewing machine, or you can hand stitch those on. And then we're going to put 2 buttonholes. And we're going to put the buttonholes where the pins are here. I'm just going to undo my tie. I left it done up because I wanted it to make sure I had it in the right place. Okay, so the buttonholes are going to go here. Alright, so I should press that flat first before I go onto it. And then I'm going to put a buttonhole here. And then I'm going to put a buttonhole here, okay? So it's just before the end on my skirt, but obviously it'll be whatever your child's size is, and you'll just have that just in there on the end. I mean, you could just put it on the end if you wanted to, your buttonholes like that, and say that's just there, but mine was just slightly before that. So because you don't want that those shoulder straps to be too loose, because they'll just flop off the shoulders. So I'm going to put them in just like that. If you wanted to, you could buy 2 more buttons, and what you could do is sew them onto here, and you could have so if you put, say, another button here, so you have 1 button there, say, and 1 button there, and that would allow for growing. You could actually alter the length of the button on that apron strap, and that would actually give you a longer time for that to fit the child, okay? So when you cut it, just cut it slightly longer and put the button on like that. So we're going to come on here, I'm going to mark it so I know where that is. I'm coming on like that, and I'm just going to come on. I'm going to come further down than I usually do and put my buttonhole sort of slightly further down. So usually we would just come down at half a centimetre, 5 millimetres, which is about 1/4 of an inch, like that, okay? But I'm going to come down because I want it to come slightly further in, so I'm wanting it to come in 1 inch. So I'm going to put it, I want it to start here. Okay, so that's where I want it to be. And that is going to be hard for me to see. See if I can put across that way, because it's on that yellow of the little fox. So I want it to sort of start here. So I'm going to put it so that my foot, because my foot comes in about 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4 before it starts, okay? And then I want it to go like that. Let's see if I can show you. Kept this one because it shows how you can do it. Can you see? Look, it's got there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the buttonhole starts. Right, so I will want it to do that. Also, with the button I've chose, it's much larger, okay? So actually, I probably, if I'm having it here, and I'm going to do 4 stitches from there, I probably need it to be about there to start off with. Alright, so if I put my foot down with the very front of the buttonhole foot on it, so it's going on like that, okay? I am going to want that piece there, so that this bit here, right in there, is going to be touching just about there. So it's laying on top, that's the line there. Hopefully you can see that line. I think the further I get closer, the more blurry it gets. But that's where the line is, so I just want it just before the start of that, and then I'll work back from that on my buttonhole maker. If you don't want to put a buttonhole maker in, you can grab some big pop fasteners, and they work really well, and that's much easier if you don't want to put a buttonhole in at all. You can just sew the pop fastener to this bit, sew it whilst it's still like that, and you just pull it out so that you've got it like that, and just sew it to the back, because you don't want the stitches coming through on that side, okay? And then you can always just sew a fake button on this side to make it look like there's a button in there, and then you'd have a button on that piece there, and you'd sew that onto that pop fastener on that piece there, and you'd just pop those together like that, okay? Right, let's go to the sewing machine and we will do all of that. So I've got my button in the back here, okay, so you need to put it in, it just opens up like that, and then you push it in, and that is the size of the buttonhole it's going to make, alright? Slightly bigger than the ones we used for the front, for the back of the dress, sorry, for the underdress. Just obviously it's the best I could sort of get to the match of it, there we go. Right, and then we're popping that one underneath, so that's right under, and then you've got a handle here. This one here, it's got BH on it for buttonhole. You need to put it behind that metal piece. Hopefully you can see there's a little metal piece sticking out there, and you need to pop it behind that. Then you need to change your stitch. You need to go onto a buttonhole stitch. Right, so I've got a buttonhole stitch on my machine, so that's that. So put it onto the buttonhole stitch. Don't sew your buttons on if you've only got 2 before you do this, because you need one of the buttons to go into the back of there. So put the buttonholes in first, alright? So I've got the buttonhole in, I've got my foot down, I'm on my buttonhole, I'm on my normal stitch length, which I usually stitch with, and my needle is in the centre, okay? So I'm just coming up now with my outfit. Right, okay, so I'm just going to bring it up like this. Move the camera. Sorry, move that camera a bit. I will get this straight working so that I'm not able to move it. I'll have to work that out. So just going to lift that so I can see where the line is. It's where the little, there it is, right there where the little owl is. Okay, got a visitor. Sophie's just come in. Hello Sophie, that's the dog. That's my mum's dog. Okay, so I'm going to start it just there where that little line is, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but I can just see that pink little line. It's just in there. So I'm going to drop my foot down. I don't know if you can see the little line there. It's just there, look. Oh, it's a pink. Okay, just there like that. Okay, so and then all you do All you're going to do with this is just, you can put your hands on it just to keep it stable, and I like to hold on to my piece of thread as I do it. All right, and I'm just going to start. I've come in at that pink piece and I'm just going to start it from here. I can see what's happening here, it's just getting caught on that. And let's just put it. And that's that side done. Okay, there we go. There you've got your lovely buttonhole. Trim off all those loose ends, and then we'll do the other side. All right. Okie dokie. Let's just move those pins out of the way, otherwise we're going to have hundreds of pins falling down. They usually stay in the dish, which is a nice thing about that dish. Right, so now we're going to do the other side. I want to come in exactly the same. I'll take my pin out now because I've got my line where I want it to start and stop. I'm going to slide it under from the behind piece. And there's the pink line, can you see it there? Alright, so I'm just going to pull that into place so that that pink line is sitting just outside of there. I'm going to pull this thread out. This is my top thread. I'm just going to pull that out of the way a minute. Get that pink line exactly in the front there, and then I'm going to drop that down. Make sure all this is laying nice and flat. Okay, and off we go. To give it a bit of a gentle pull there, and I don't know if you could see that. What happened was when the back of the buttonhole fitting, you'll see it's going to happen again here, gets down where that big lot of fabric is, I'm just having to gently pull it down because it just didn't want to move over that where the skirt attaches at the back of the thing. So if you find that, then you might need to just move it down. There you go. Okay, so that's our 2 buttonholes in. Move that one. There we go. Lift that foot up out of the way. Remove that foot, cut the threads. So that's the buttonholes done. So we take those 2 out. And whilst we're at this, we're going to put in our buttons. Oh, whilst we're doing that, I'm going to move to a straight stitch. Here, put my other foot back on. I've got a foot in here somewhere. No, where's my foot? There it is, sorry. Try and always put your foot away each time, because if you put it on the table, it falls on the floor and then you're hunting around the room. So I try and keep it in there. Right, so we're going to just go along this piece here. So let's just slip that top pin out. Put pins in the wrong way around there. Okay, slide that under. I'm going to get nice and close to the edge, and I'm just going to run a straight line down. So change your stitch back to your ordinary stitch. That's it. Mine's on my normal stitch. It's on my usual length, which I usually use. I've changed my foot over, so we're all pretty ready to go now. So we're just going to come down here. I'm going to go back and straight down. I'm just going to slip that pin out, which was the wrong way around, and hold it with my finger. Straight as you possibly can. The other thing I didn't say is if you're getting a thing from your machine, your buttonhole foot might still be down, so make sure you push your buttonhole foot back up, okay? Just want to come a bit further, that's it, and then do the back stitch. Don't want anything unravelling there. So that's that one done. Okay, I've still got my pin in where I'm going to put my button hole, my button, sorry. Let's grab the other one and do that one. Okay, so I'm going to come in from this end on this one. Just going to pop that one the right way in. Make sure that's staying in there nice and close to that edge. Pop it down. Okay, and we're just going to come up straight across there. And then go back stitch. And none of this will be seen. This will all be inside of the back piece. You won't see any of this at all. There you go. And then just do a back stitch. Okay, and we'll just leave it there. Alright, and I'll just remove those threads. There we are. So that's that piece done, and now we're going to come in and put our buttons on. So I've got my button foot, sorry. It looks like that. It's a weird one. It's got a hole in it, and when you probably see it, you probably think, weird. Right, okay. So then I'm going to slip this off, and down the bottom here, you will see there is a thing for pushing your. And that'll stop your. Get it to work. That will stop your feed dogs from pushing your fabric through. Okay, put your buttonhole foot on, like your button foot on, sorry, like that, and it just clips on mine. If you've got a clip-on one, that's there. There is a link in underneath. It's probably underneath this video. I'll try and leave it underneath this video. I'm running out of space to put the links in. I'll move that one out of the way a minute. Just put my buttons somewhere. It's still in the buttonhole first. So I'm going to put this on with the machine. I'll hand stitch the other one on for you. Right, so there we go. So that's going right there, like that. And I'm going to lift my foot up and I'm going to pop it down so that it's going onto the centre of that button. So you've got both button hole pieces, the two holes are straight in the middle of it. Make sure that they're straight. Just get them, just takes a second to straighten them up. Alright, so that one's on. So now we're going to go to a zigzag stitch. Okay, and that looks like a lightning. And we're going to push it down into that side of the button. See, it won't go in. So just very carefully turn your handle. You've got a little your round piece on the end of the machine. Push it down, and if it won't go in, just move that button on that foot just the tiniest bit. And there, as you can see, it's going in now. It's in that side. I'm going to pop over it. I'm going to see whether it'll go into that side, and it will. Okay, let's just check my. For some reason, I think it's just really old. My feed dogs don't seem to like to not be up. Let's try this then. Right, let's see if we can do it. So we're going to do. Okay, so you've got a nice sewn on button, just like that. Okay, I'm going to lift it out, and then I'm going to pull some long threads out, snip them off, and we're going to pull those through. I'm just going to grab a bigger needle. Okay, so what happened was I've got a great big needle which I use for this, and it's really good. What I'm just going to do is I've just, and it's stuck in the container. It's one of those like round needle things, and it's stuck inside. So I've got a needle which isn't so big. This is just a little bit of a pain. You can just like wet it with your fingers, and that might make it easier to thread through. There's one, I've got that one in, and I want to put that one down back inside so it goes right way through to the back, and pull that one out. Oh, like that. Okay, that one's out, and do the same with this other one. I'm just going to tie them. It might be better actually not to put it in now. I just wet my fingers, and that sometimes helps it to go through these needles. Usually just have a big one. You can get self-threading needles. They're difficult to hand sew with, but they're ideal for doing stuff like this, and I am completely out of them. They've got like a hole further down, but on the top they've got, I'm not sure you can see this. All I'm doing is just basically threading a needle at the moment. And they've got like a U shape on the top, and you just push your thread into it. So I'm pushing that through the back there, if I can get it to go through. Let's see if it'll push through on my board. Yeah, it's gone in. There we go. I'll just pull that out. There we go. So you should have 4 threads back here now. 2 there, like that, and 2 there like that. And I'm just going to tie them off. So I'm doing 1 knot. This is probably a granny knot. I'm never quite sure which way I should do the knot. But this seems to hold it. If you just leave them loose, they do tend to come undone. Okay, and obviously if you spent a bit on these buttons, I know they were only 25p each, and that sounds nothing, but when you think there were 5 buttons for the dress at 25p and then 2 more like that, that's sort of adding up, isn't it? And then it's really difficult if you lose one, unless you've got extra. I did keep an extra one of those, but I couldn't get an extra one of the other one. Right, let's find the other button. Okay, here it is, and I'm going to hand stitch that on so you can just see how easy that is. So I've got a threaded needle here, at least I did have a second ago. Yeah, there. So I've just got a threaded needle. I'm going to push the machine back out the way so we've got a bit more space. Tie a knot in it. So I just wound it around my finger twice and then tied a knot. Cut the end off just above the knot. There you go. Right. And then you can just come in where your pin is and put it right through. There we are. Take your pin out. You're going to stab yourself with that, and we're going to pop that in like that. And then if you are doing a button and it's got a pattern on it, this one isn't so bad because it's got just the 2 flowers on it. But can you see I've got them going, one's going up the top and one's going up that way there like that. So I'm going to probably do that the same on that one. Obviously if I put it on like that, that would look, it would be different. It's not so bad with these, but it's, you know, different ones you can get look a bit weird if you put them the wrong way around. The other flower which I had was the rose, that only went one way, so you needed to put that one so that it was just going, so the bottom of the rose faced the bottom of the outfit. So I'm just going to come in here and put in about 5 or 6 stitches, just enough to hold that button on. It's a little bit harder. You could use a thimble if you wanted to, just to help you push it through. The other thing you can use is a pair of pliers. Alright, so I'm going to get that on so it's straight. There we go. I'm just going to go in and out basically, in that side, out that side, push it through, and I'm going to go all the way through this time. Okay, that's 1, 2. Come up in that side, push it through the buttonhole. Obviously the other way is quicker if you do it the other way with the sewing machine, but if you're a bit nervous about it, just enter. Just do this way. It doesn't matter which way you do, you know. That's 3 stitches. Okay, 4 stitches. I was thinking after I cut this, and if you want to sort of think about it as well, if you leave it a bit longer, you add a maybe 2-inch length there, it's still going to be hidden in the back. But what you could do is just go in and give yourself a little bit extra room. You could allow for growing, and then you can just move that button down if you wanted to next year. So if you left a sort of 2-inch piece on the end, that would definitely allow for a bit, you know, for a longer strap. There we go. Probably one more, let's feel. Yeah, just put one more in, that's nice and reasonably tight. So once you've done this, we're just going to come in, and I will just do it in the bedroom on the bed. I'll see if I can get a camera in there with me. We're just going to come in and do the stitch the line at the back to the lining. And I'm coming in there, aren't I? From there, yeah. So, hang on, I've got this caught up in the button, yeah, that's it. And then you can just come in on the back and make your knot. So when I do my knots, what I like to do is do one like that, and then another one. So I've got like a twist in it. Can you see that twist there? there's like a twist in the cotton as I've done it. Pull it through, and then what I like to do is just put my cotton down inside the fabric and pull that out there, so that you don't get that long end hanging at the end of the knot. Can I push that a bit further down? Yeah, just enough to grab it, that's it. And then if you give that a little tug, then you can see that knot has disappeared inside, look. Okay, so go around now and trim off any threads. So I'm going to take a pin, okay, and I'm going to pop it into the end of my buttonhole just before where those last stitches are, like that. And I'm just going to come in with my seam ripper, and I'm going to rip this piece. Go in like that. There we go, and then just push it right the way along. There we go. Okay, so that's your buttonhole made. Take your pin, bring it to this end, put it in exactly the same as you did before. There we go, and then pop it and just loosen that end as well. Okay, and then come in, push it all the way through to the back, and just remove any loose white ends there. You don't want them coming through, so just go along. You don't want to cut into your stitches, and your stalk scissors would probably be better for this if you've got the little tiny scissors. Mine are in the bedroom. I was working on an embroidery in the bedroom, so there we go. So come in and remove all those little bits of end, and then that will be your buttonhole finished. All right, just neaten it up. So that will be pretty much the end of our spring outfit. We've just got a few other bits. We've got the doll's dress, we've got a bag, and we've got a lovely little rabbit to go with it, and I'm making a beautiful hair bow. So I'll get all those bits together and I will try and do a photograph of it all. So I'm going to try and come and get the photograph of all this put together now. So I will see you later. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, I would actually love it. Please leave me some comments. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'd really like to know whether you think that this is a better camera angle or whether you preferred the way I did it beforehand, because I'm really struggling with getting the lighting and the camera angles and everything right. And if you want to hit that bell, I'm going to try and load up a video every Friday. This one is going to be extra videos because they're quite long for the sew-alongs, but you can always watch the shorter videos and that will make it easier for you. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.